page is here. If you can, if you want, so yeah. Yeah, sit next to Doug.
Here, we don't stop back there. I'm a stalker. Right. Sit at the next table if you want.
Yeah, sit next to Doug. Have a motion to approve the agenda. I'm on second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. You just walked in. Okay. Approval of minutes. You have two sets. The first set, December 15th. You go to the second page, you can see where we made those changes where it says in dark. I hope you can see in dark. It says to approve a deduct of 69,596. And D is to accept 4,694 for a transfer from allowances. And then to approve the deduction of 94,000. So those were the comments that Dan picked up. So we put them in here. So that's the change to December 15th. So can I have a motion just to approve December 15th minutes with those changes? So Fiona, second Doug. Any discussion? All in favor? I opposed. The next minutes are January 19th. Armand, who was it? Second. Donna. Any discussion? All in favor? I opposed. Public. Carrie, public?
No, thank you.
No. You're non-public?
I have no comments for this time.
Okay, project status. You've gotten a couple of things in your packet. You have the monthly report from Dan. You also have in the back pictures that you have. Also, I gave you.
I'm turned off my video, so.
So,
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Yes, picture tells 1,000 words, right? So we produce these monthly reports with photos to recognize that we take a lot of photos and everything is archived. So you'll have, those in totality later in the end of the job. But I think the most telling picture to share is this 11 by 17. And with that, I can just walk through over the last month, what we've done and what you can see is a comparison. So the second page of your 11 by 17s represents an aerial picture that was taken in the early January. Okay, so from that you saw our sequence, the concrete all wall work is on the right hand side of the page facing. Are there, do you know if they've been sent or are they digital?
no, they're
not.
They're not digital. No, they're not.
Okay, so for those on the screen, I don't know who's joining us. If it's Amy. Amy knows where.
Yeah, Kim has it. Yeah, I hope she.
So you can
Yes,
see,
I hear you. Yes.
through the course of the month, we focused again on concrete work. And you can see that, in the middle part of January, where we were with your structural foundation work and where we are today. So on where we are today, this is an aerial that was done 2 days ago. I've dropped down to that photo your basic areas of work. If you recall, the area B, right in the middle of your screen, or vision, is the kitchen area. And what you're looking at is a bunch of underground plumbing. So that area has a retaining structure on the right-hand side, on the Route 8 side, just because earth on the other side is so low. But once we poured the structural foundations, we began to bring elevation back up. That was hampered slightly during that phase of work because we hit that heavy rain period. And so all the material, including the material for processing and bringing in for fresh material from a quarry not far from the job. That material slowed us down a bit because it was wet. But overall, what we've done is we've placed, there's 3 layers of plumbing that are involved in your large kitchen area. At this point in time, we're up to the upper layer. So the 2 lower layers are finished. That area that's exposed there is now backfilled to grade over the last couple of days. So our emphasis was to backfill and put plumbing in. We were chasing the slab on grade in there ahead of our structural steel date, which is a week and a day away. But we know that we weren't going to get there. There's another layer of plumbing to get involved there, or to get installed there. So that's area D's work. In area B, we have an extensive amount of underground electrical work. That's where the backbone of the electrical power comes in from the Route 8 side. And in your packet of 8.5 by 11, you might see through that. I'll just be brief on this and then I'll flip through those. But there's some good pictures of the amount of raceway that's so we focused in there on getting the electrician. So the plumber was working in one area, the electrician working in the other area, put in a lot of that raceway. All that raceway is now backfilled. The plumber has moved from the kitchen area over to do the drainage in area B. In area A, we continue to place foundation. We were about 80% last month. We are finished with that area now. Again, that area is just higher than the exterior grade on the pond side. So those concrete walls are retaining, but that grade fills up with dirt and becomes your first floor. So at the end of area A is on the left-hand side of area A. That's where you're going to walk in to the high school. Give you a mental picture if you can. Right where that corner is closest to us, but the end of the building, that's your main entry for the high school. Once that work finished up, the concrete trade moved to area E. The middle school 3-story classroom wing proceeded with foundations from the kitchen towards the left of the page through E and into F. You can see at this point, we actually only have one more board to place in area F before concrete wraps up there. So the overall timing of the project is moving well in that where the crane will arrive on the job in a week, he'll sit about where area C, that little C is, and stand up building D. So the first, that's a 1-story section of structural steel. They'll build all that up. Then he'll move the crane further towards A, and the concrete guy moves from area F to area C. So that whole big center of the section, that's your auditorium. You know, area C is your auditorium, and foundations will go there. Let's see if I've missed anything on my notes.
The auditorium starts at that little wing wall, right to the left of letter B, right?
Yes. That's where the oval sits and takes off away. So it runs from the wing wall, as Mario described, right through that excavator and wraps an oval around that seat. So really, we've had electricians on the site, we've had plumbers on the site, and we continue to have concrete, waterproofing, and site work to support those activities. Overall, we're pleased. We wanted to get to the slab on grade, but knew that there's just a tremendous amount of plumbing under the kitchen. We want to get it right. We submitted all of the kitchen, what we call kitchen rough-in drawings, which is a set of drawings that identify exactly where all the pipes go to service all of the pieces of equipment. Those came through with some revisions, so we have an opportunity for that to be resubmitting and finalized, and then we'll be working in that area. It also allows the plumbers and electricians a place to go while we start the structural steel over the rest of the building. They'll fall back and work in area B. So things are marching ahead. What we have in our near future is the structural steel. I confirmed, we are all set. Trucks are loaded, ready to leave Canada with the Area D steel on it. Structural steel for Area D, Area B, Area A has all been final detailed. Area B is about 50% fabricated. Then they'll roll right into Area A. It's a large commitment for a fabricator, so we've basically taken their shop. And we will have it now for another about 6 weeks. At that point, they'll be done fabricating E and F. So we'll stand up this building from D through B through A, come back, stand up E and F, and then ultimately stand in the middle of the courtyard to construct the auditorium.
You also have in your packet at the back, the dates and so forth, as we look at it on a 3-week basis. It's the last page.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's what we're always communicating with the trades on where we are schedule wise and what we expect here. Important item I'd like to mention regarding the general health of the project is under getting through foundations. Again, we now have built all foundations, one section left in F, and we plan on C shortly, without significant cost. The project financially is very healthy. That we have a negative DDOT change order total currently, which is another positive thing. But it's, it's everybody's concern that as you do the heavy earthworks, it's you at your greatest risk. Here we had a little less risk because we knew we had to do all these ground improvements. And then it was mainly an import of engineered fills, bringing the site up. So there's a little less risk in that environment, but recognizing that we put in all those aggregate piers at over $3 million worth of work. We've put in place probably $5 or $6 million worth of work already on concrete and additional earthwork, plumbing and mechanical, electrical. It's very positive in my opinion that I've gotten this far. And we have a good team. Trades are working diligently to buy out product. In this market, they want to know that they can secure pricing. So the submittal process for critical path submittals is moving well. And overall, the trade responses are good.
And, yeah, because Mary and I meet all the trade guys and it's working out well. I make the calls when the checks are given out, so they like that. And it's really a team effort. Everybody's working together. It's unbelievable.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. And what's his name from the city? He comes out every day.
Yeah, building inspections are daily.
Daily comes out.
So in your packet, just to make you aware, and I won't belabor all the points, behind the commentary, there's always 2 pages of cost and schedule issues. I won't, again, belabor the text there, but I do anything that's got a 20K value or something or greater, I want to make you aware and put it in writing. So no real highlights there that you haven't spoken to before. Again, we've been chasing some savings, which is great. Well, if I do hit them, I'll hit the points here. So we have VE allowance. Reference what the header of that document is.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. So yeah,
It's
that's
attached.
called a cost and schedule issues,
Yeah, it's this 3rd page.
and it's the 3rd page of that fact. So we're doing well on the VE items. We have more than 50% solidified. No change in the trajectory of the savings that we negotiated early in the project.
Remember, that was about $2.8 million in savings. We're just a little bit ahead of that.
Yeah, I think we're 20K at
20K.
where we are. Just a few more documents to button up and then pricing to follow. The big nut was the general trades package. Again, we made everybody aware of how heavy of a hit that was to the project. We're solidifying that particular PCO in this meeting because we do have to ink a change order of that magnitude. But again, the numbers are matching what Ed has carried in the overall project budget and are slightly improved from the estimate that I had carried when I presented it last month. I documented the greenhouse that we approved last month. I noted that we have a decision to make this evening on lightning protection. A couple of negotiated costs that I was able to get as I finalized a couple of contracts saved the project $76,000 in a couple of items that were carried in the contractor's bid price. We learned of that at scope review, negotiated the value of that, and they were willing to give it back. When you bid something lump sum, they have to give it back, but they did. And so we picked up $75,000 on something that's known as the platforms around the chillers. And we picked up another $46,000 in where we bought out the type of fencing that goes on the backside of the school. It was again carried by miscellaneous metals, but it shouldn't have been. So in that case, I took the dollars from the miscellaneous metals guy, had to do a little massaging with buying a little additional fence with the site work guy, but the net savings to the project, again, $46,000. Heating mains in the lobby was something that was discovered not on your VE logs, so we saved $38,000 and just something that was slightly oversized, and we had some space limitations. In the main lobby, the hydronic piping, the heating water piping and chilled water piping was 8-inch. And through a second look by CES, our mechanical engineer, they changed it to 6. So it's a good savings there. And a bad news item is the material that goes below the slab needs to transmit radon gas, needs to be porous enough to move air. So we have a proposed cost of $46,000 in the wrong direction. And then I make note that there were 5 additional proposal requests that we don't have pricing yet, but order of magnitudes are not overly concerning here. And then bringing up to speed on the value or the quantity of what's known as architect supplemental informations, proposal requests, and RFIs. So we've gotten a lot of RFIs last, we're averaging probably 2 a day from the trades. And again, that's just an early, really involved trade base that's asking a lot of questions, identifying problems that are 6-8 months down the path, but raising the question. And I have to throw a shout out to Amy, Jeff, and the team from CES has been very responsive. This volume of RFIs is a dedicated commitment by our team as well as the design team. And the turnaround time has been spot on. And then I talk about, we had the wet weather. I think between January 2nd and 5th or something, to last week, we had 6.5 inches of rain. So we were down in a period of about 2 weeks where just there was no dry material. And we were at a stage of the project where we needed to bring up that fill. And you can't properly compact the material that has what's known as an excessive moisture content. Ideal moisture content sits around 6-7% moisture. You have to compact to a level to where that material meets a 95% compaction level. In other words, the density of that material is at 95% of where it would be if it was absolutely perfect. And you can't get it if there's too much water. It just absorbs the energy of the piece of equipment that's trying to drive that material down. That impacted our ability to bring up the grade. It impacted our ability to put the waterproofing on the walls. But fortunately, as long as we get the slab pour next week, we've got in area B, which is our second area to stand up the building. We absolutely want to pour the slab on grade before we put the structure over the top. It's too much, it's just too difficult. So in order to maintain the schedule, we've picked up work on the weekends over the last 2 weekends. We'll be working with 10s starting today, tomorrow, Saturday, all next week in order to turn it over so that the plumbing is complete. Then we turn it over to the concrete, to the waterproofing trade and the concrete trade so that they can finish up the waterproofing and slab on grade in area B. So the next, yeah. a lot of
what's the? How long will it take to erect D before they have to go to B?
There's 6 days of crane time for all the members. And so the structure, the skeleton.
Yeah.
Will be up in 6 days and the crane will move. The structural steel won't be finished in that area because we still have to plumb, we still have to weld.
Right.
All the details, and shoot down the deck.
So B has to be ready by March 10th or so.
It's Tuesday the 7th. Yeah, so we're anticipating pour on March the 2nd. We're gonna fall back on March the 3rd.
Okay.
And that's a large area, that area.
Yes,
B,
it is.
Roughly
A lot of-
18,000 square
A lot
feet.
of stuff going on down there.
Yep, so. Unfortunately, it's a lot of area, but the way things are layered, and when it comes to plumbing, you can't put it in multiple spots. You gotta start from one end, you gotta move up the hill. And so we're only able to really keep 4 plumbers moving uphill from where the pipes come in.
Why is area B different with respect to the radon issue? Is it just a leveling? Is it not?
Actually, area B has porous rock underneath it. So it's the radon, it's actually the slabs on all the rest of the building that don't have porous stone. See, area B being lower is fully waterproof, and it also has a lens of porous rock with drainage pipes underneath it, so that in case you get any water coming up. We're pretty well above, you can tell just photographically that the slab elevation of B and the elevation of the water at the pond, basically your groundwater table, is about a 6-foot delta. But we have really significant waterproofing. I guess where you'd see that best is in the 8.5 by 11s. You can just jump through these two. So area D, you can see where all the plumbing and all the grade is high. Just 3 weeks ago, before we started to get really wet, we started to bring up that grade. So that's the upper picture, is just bringing up the earth to get to finished floor elevation of that section. And then area B, again being lower, has waterproofing all on the outside, as well as waterproofing on the inside and below the slab, which is not in that photo, but that's what it is. So in the lower photo on the first page, you're standing in area D at the kitchen area, looking at something that's going to be completely backfilled because the lower level is on the opposite side. Another photo from D looking south towards the pond. Some guys putting in pipe. Well, there's my electrical underslab. So on the third page, that's the electrical run. On the right-hand side of that photograph is where we have 2 main distribution panels, as they're called, the main switchboards. You have 2 driving the building. So all the surfaces come in from the Route 8 side, and that's only the first layer of electrical work in there. On top of that is another layer of electrical work where the pipes go out to feed the rest of the building. Let's see, so there's, on the next photograph is what's below grade waterproofing that's just protecting the foundation in there. At the top of that line approximately, yep, where the top of that line is, that's where the finished floor will be of area B. So that's essentially where the bottom of the electrical room is. See, we're looking at area C, that's that wing wall, as Mario described. Someday you'll be standing in the courtyard, someday, about 2.5 years, you'll be standing in the courtyard. And you'll be looking at area C, and you'll see the oval of the auditorium and the large projection screen that you have, to the left of that will be a bank of windows. Below those windows will be that wall. So earth on this side will come up all the way to the top of that wall. It's basically just yeah, more very extensive, very protected. Your lower level will Never see one.
It's,
The shot of area A, you're actually in area A, looking at area B beyond that tall wall. So again, that's the retaining wall. We're gonna fill all that up with fill again, and you'll be walking in at the top of that wall. The future level of the building is at the top of that wall. And then if you were driving around.
It's hard to imagine, right?
It's a lot of fill. And so, yeah, so there's the process, all the material that comes off the site moves to a quarry that's nearby where they're actually quarrying out what we're generating engineered fill, it's called. So you have to create a material that it's fill that has gradation sizes of particles that work well together to allow it to compact tightly. So like if you have pure sand, it's all what we call as a uniform particle size. So all the pieces of sand are the same size. And although you can squish it, you can also move it with, with some effort. When you put in a processed aggregate, it means you're processing it, putting together various percentages of the different aggregate sizes, and that allows it to compact tightly. Yeah. So if you were standing with your back to the pond, you'd be looking at the photo on the bottom of the area A picture. So as you drive around the back of the building to walk in at the pre-K, it's going to be the right side of that photo. So the building steps down. The road goes around the back toward the lake. Area E and F were nice and simple. There is no retaining wall foundations. We're building a normal, what we call stem wall foundation, where you just have a spread footing of 3.5 feet to the top of the bottom of the footing. Top of the footing. So your last few pictures are all area E and area F. Concrete guys went from 26 people on a daily basis. We had 26 men and someone putting up forms, and then additional people putting in rebar. Now we're down to, I think, 12 as they just mop up that area and prepare to take on area C.
Does area G, the middle school gym, not need that foundation work, or will that be done once we tackle the gym portion?
Yeah, we fall from C to G to get started, but there's the awning structure that's existing. That is partially we want that gone in order to stand up that portion of the building. So we're going to approach that awning as we get closer to June. But concrete will demobilize after C and come back to do G just as we get from mid-May into early June.
Yep.
good stuff, yeah.
Oh, last picture overall. Standing at the pond, looking at your building. Again, very pleased with the production we have on site. These impacts that we had to schedule, I spoke to it last month. We had about 15 days anticipated of lost time in the winter. Although we've had a very mild winter, we did utilize all 15 of those days between the 2 months, getting with loss of time initially with some cold weather, and then more recently with the wet weather. We've had very good weather. A little bit of cold weather next week, a little bit of wet again, but everything should come together. And structural steel doesn't care about weather, unless it's raining too badly. It don't stand. If rain doesn't swing, then it's day for day.
Okay. Any other things for
Any
Dan?
questions as to what we're building?
again, we have a number of ONG employees there, who every day, Zach, 1 and 2, John, 1 and 2, and Brian, Dan, and Dan and Dave. So we have the A team, and you ever get to see them, they're out there all the time, or they're inside doing all the footwork and so forth.
Pre-planning, this is a big part of it. Zach Mordenti, very strong in concrete work, been taking the lead. He's on the site from the time we started aggregate piers. taking the lead on the concrete side. Brian Pacuda, about my age, has a wealth of experience and understands the overall project and how to deliver the projects. So he's developing relationships and asking for things that he knows are critical down the path. Zach and John support me and we get it all done.
Good team. Next thing is B and L report. I gave you the additional 3 and 4. I think Mario can speak for himself. I think we're very pleased with John Jenny coming out. He gives us about a day and a half a week. And you can see his reports are excellent. When we have a problem, he's involved, so he helps us describe the problem and fix the problem. We had a couple of issues and he was brought up to those, and I think he's working well with Dan and Luke.
Yep, he's on this radon stone issue. You know, the order of magnitude here we thought was around 50K. We negotiated a little bit on that number. We're at 46,000. And John's experience brought to the table maybe a thinner lens of stone. SLAM is reviewing that now to see if, we meet the Connecticut high performance requirements for transmission rates of gas below the slab. We really don't have radon there because we're so far in a bill, but rules are rules and codes are codes. So if that's something that can save some money there, but he brought that to the table. He also brought, is there a drainage mat material that would convey the same transmission rate? So again, been a positive influence on cost as well.
Yeah.
Good find.
Good for and I think Mario and I agree. Our idea of owner's rep has changed 180 degrees. I think.
Yeah.
I think this is the best of both worlds. We had somebody in the beginning, Karen, who did all of the letters and so forth that we needed. Now we have John, who I think is doing right now a great job for us, understands everything, and I think.
Yep.
The time we talked about for him to come on site, that time period that we had budgeted seems to be working out.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, little less some weeks, a little bit more
Right.
others. So, I mean, the guy had heart surgery, he was on the job.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So, yeah. So, and he's doing all of his own pictures and so forth. So we haven't paid. Remember, we're only giving him 8 hours, 2 hours of right now. We're not being charged at all. So we're only being charged 8 hours. So that's good. And we should one of these days we should have him here.
Yeah.
You met him, but only the small group met him.
Yep.
Right. What?
Should, yeah,
Sam.
right.
Okay, next item, phase 1 and 2 application for certificate of payment. I did not copy the whole thing because it's 154 pages. What I did give you is each trade their front page. Okay, with the total. As you can see, the total this month is $3,024,388, and it's broken down, as you can see, phase 1 Fucci, Marguerite, $1 million he's pouring. If it's 3 days a week, it has to be over 100 yards of concrete or more.
On an average, yes.
Yeah, which is unbelievable. Then you have Fucci, you have Gilberto, who's the waterproofing guy. Berlin Steel, last month we gave because we were up, not up, we weren't up, they were up there, and for steel that was in
That's in
Canada.
fabrication in Canada. Correct.
And then there's Dinto, who's the electrical, General Welding, Legier is the general trades, and then ONG there. Now, so
They're scheduled by.
yeah,
So
so
trying to get it in for this month,
Yeah.
but they didn't make it last.
yeah, it's their problem.
month.
Yeah.
I think we did, yeah.
They're good with cash, they're all now.
You know, their contract with us is 29 million, you know, I mean, they haven't asked for money. Value.
They haven't asked you.
Right,
That's all that matters.
yeah. But they've been out there, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and doing their work,
What do you
and
guys think?
Yeah, currently, we had a couple of times where they were five.
Minutes sufficient.
Yeah, we could put more bodies, but again, on backwards.
Right.
also, if you go up there, if you're driving up, you'll see the retaining wall is coming up.
Oh,
On the side?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we're about at 5 feet now. We got another 5 feet to go. Good filling, but shows that work for the winter time because it's not weather affected once you get started. So the contractor just takes advantage of when the weather's bad.
It seems like it, right? They have about 6 or 7 guys working there.
Yep.
Okay, any questions? Can I have a motion to approve the ONG payment, $3,024,388? Second,
Second,
Kathy. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The next discussion is the lightning protection. It's in the project. We have budgeted, it's in the contractor's thing. Do we want to delete that $78,000?
That's correct. Right, so we had we had potential savings ideas at the time of bid. And this was one of them that was put into the bid document. So we have a firm bid from the trade. His price to take that system out of the building, as Ed mentioned, 78,000.
Okay. How many schools have it and how many don't? Percentage wise.
Didn't do a survey, I
Oh,
guess.
enough.
From personal experience.
Yes, exactly.
My last school had a deduct alternate. They took the deduct alternate. The school before that had lightning protection. The school before that didn't have it designed in.
Okay. What do you see? What do you see? Yeah,
You're asking on a recommendation, I was 6 feet away. Very tall building.
And as soon as we take it out, we're gonna have like a storm.
the project savings mentioned on the cost schedule, impact items list.
Mhm.
Again, are those are savings, right, to the budget?
Yes,
Okay, so they kind of
Yes.
offset the 78,000.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, assuming, I mean, we don't apply for the project, but.
Right.
The project savings of a 76, 73 for the metals. Which pretty much. Is about the same amount.
It is. I mean, I think my personal goal, not having spoken to Ed about this, but if we have enough of contingencies, CM contingency that we don't utilize during construction, I'm trying to get to a point where we have dollars in the bank for the ad alternates at the end of the day.
Mm.
You recall, we had a healthy list of site work, wish list items. And if you have, our goal is to try to drive that to some level of fruition. You can't buy them all, so there's not that much money. But,
it's the extra tennis court, the lights, the field, concrete sidewalks, yeah.
Currently, the construction managers at risk contingency is about 3.5. Like, I haven't even made a scratch in.
We're not gonna make a scratch.
I like it.
We hope.
Do our best.
They've been really looking at everything that comes in and
Yep, right.
yeah.
I think we are gonna be using that contingency a little bit for some premium. Well, fortunately, this first batch of premium time we have in our contract, each trade contract contains 8 extra days of premium labor. What that means is that if my superintendent says, I want you to work on Saturday, I own 8 of those. You guys all own 8 of those, and that's what we've tapped. We tapped it a couple of times for the concrete guy, and one day with the plumber so far, another one to come. So far, Dave, we haven't tapped it.
Okay.
So we were using what we were involved.
Right.
Right.
Helen,
So Kemp's concern was the height of the building. Is it also because there's water nearby?
What about the height?
But the height wouldn't be as high as, like, say, East End height.
no, but it's the tallest building, certainly in that area.
Yeah,
Does having protection on the building, draw the electricity such that if we had students out on the field, it would protect people in the field
Well,
at all?
I don't have a lot of expertise here, so please take the information I give you as grain. What physically gets constructed is pins on the top of the building, it's high points of all the points. And those pins, if they pick up electrical charge, it drags it to ground. So
But it might
how
not
that
be
would
very-
affect, if it would pull a lightning bolt from one spot to another, I couldn't say.
Are there oak trees around?
There's a lot of pine trees.
There may be some next to Route 8, but there's not a lot of tree on the property.
Oak tree
Right.
specifically.
They're right.
Basically,
They draw lightning.
I remember that from our previous conversation now. I don't know.
Thank God I don't call it anymore. I think we should keep it.
I'll make a motion.
I mean, if we don't have it, there's potential damage to the building, right? The infrastructure, I mean, if it gets hit, electrical, HVAC, et cetera, et cetera. Right.
Will that also help our insurance rates?
well, as I said, it's a lump sum, which the city
hard to-
has.
it's
It's
hard.
hard. They don't want to talk about it. I sent them an email.
All right, so
So Donna would keep the lightning protection. She has made a motion.
I'll second.
Second, King.
Yeah.
I'm on seconds.
It's, it's either way to me, but you're not guaranteed. You get hit by
Of
lightning,
course.
something,
of course,
something liable to break.
of course,
And whether the impact is fully absorbed, partly absorbed,
no, understood.
where the damage occurs,
Yeah.
it's certainly more likely to be less.
Yeah.
If you have this level of protection at the high points.
Mhm.
But from my experience, buildings still take damage.
Sure.
They get hit. So it's an insurance claim one way or the other. It's whether it's.
Mitigation, not.
Yeah.
elimination.
And there's no maintenance associated with this or any one-time cost, you never have to pay more.
I've never heard of any, don't know 100%, but I've never heard of any. It's really just a physical thing.
This is Amy. I do know that there is a maintenance. It's not a cost per se, but your facilities department will have to go up and check the antenna from time to time to make sure that they're still standing.
And if someone in the future, if a piece of rooftop equipment that has the lightning protection mounted on it, if something's swapped out, obviously. you don't
right,
have to
right.
Take it off and reattach to the new, so it's on the new equipment, but that's.
Right.
Let's hope we're smart enough to do that.
We won't be around. No, Jesus.
I know,
Mario, he doesn't have much of a electrical service.
he'll probably be around. What's who's?
Yeah.
Anyway, so we did that, right?
Yeah, also, just to let you know, there is another savings if we go to
Aluminum.
aluminum.
As you may recall, part of our VE discussions at the beginning of the job, a lot of your heavy conductor between panels and the windings within the transformers are all aluminum on the project. So at that time, he identified if the lightning protection goes from, goes in, then there is an additional savings. So he would go with aluminum just to keep the product the same.
That's not factored in.
That's not
It's not
factored.
factored in there, but it's not a big dollar amount.
Did you vote?
You need to take a look.
Yeah, I know, right, yeah. Any other discussion? A motion was made by Donna, seconded by Armand to keep the lightning protection in the budget, which is already budgeted for.
Reject the old.
Reject the old. Thank you. All those in favor, say aye. Aye, opposed. Thank you. Okay, next item. We have all these PCOs. A lot of them are zero. First one, PCO 18. It's the V item, which we've already taken. So that's 57,000. That's already in the 2.8 million. The second one is another VE item, which we've already taken, 63,000 in the 2.8. The third one is the food lab tables. If you remember, you probably don't. We had it in the general trades. And we took it out, and the general trades was 80,000.
Right.
And we're buying it outright for 41,000.
Correct.
The next one is the big one. I didn't sign it because it was over our amount. This is the general trades, which is already in the budget. It's already been done. You want to talk about that, Dan?
Yeah, the terminology in the paragraph may be a little bit cumbersome, but essentially what we had carried, if you recall, was about a $7.4 million value that we thought we'd buy that contract out. When the contract actually came in, the value was 8.69. So we looked at ways to save there. The first one we did was we gave back 350,000 of our contingency on a risk basis. If we do end up utilizing all that 3.5 million, we're gonna ask for the 350 to protect our back end. But again, in a nutshell, the project budget currently has absorbed this cost with a net impact to Ed's contingency was about 260,000.
Right, because remember, we saved money, about 210,000 on the on OSG's thing, the CSG's thing, because we didn't hire them to continue. That was $500,000, and we're buying only 250,000, and then the rest was coming out of the contingency.
Right, we just had done some math, and again, the current budget where we stand today represents still 350K, 3.5 mil. Slight difference there.
Yeah.
In the CM at-risk side, as well as what the ownership has here, which is somewhere around two.
Yeah. We still have a good contingency, but you know,
Right, but as Ed mentioned, it's a little beyond him inking a $900,000.
yeah. I don't know. The next one, 22. Oh, I'm sorry.
So what would the process be if ONG wanted?
I'm
to
sorry?
take- What would the process be if ONG wanted to take that contingency back?
Well, if we were in a situation where something went terribly wrong and it was not a result of anything that the ownership did, then that would fall into a constructor at risk category. So all of our $3.5 million has been spent on something. So the process would be, okay, somebody needs a change order to, or at the end of the day, pay for something, an upgrade to the floor, something that again, we would have to be funding because it falls under a constructor's problem. We say, well, our contingency is empty. We're gonna ask for this change to be funded from the owner side instead of from the contingency side, the CM contingency side. It'd be as simple as that.
And that would come to building committee?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
thank you.
The next one is 22. And this is not a VE, it's a credit for the chiller platform. If you want to just,
Yeah, as I mentioned, we had it assigned to the roofing crate because these chillers that you have are on the roof. The roofing contractor carried a cost of 78,000 in his bid. But when I went through and discussed the scope and all the detail of the scope with the miscellaneous metals contractor, he carried in his bid and it wasn't his scope of work, but less, like 58,000. He said, will you do it for 58,000? He said, yes. I said, okay. And it's in your bid. And he said, yes. I said, even though it's not assigned to you, will you do it?
He said, yes. So we took the money from the room.
Didn't ask any questions.
The next one is, we need additional dumpsters, so, ONG took it out of their contingency, nothing for us. The next one was a VE credit from General Trades of 171. $300,000.
A similar situation where through the scope review and identifying what cost the trade carried when they bid the project, we identified things that they carried that weren't their responsibility.
As you remember, you can see
Keep in mind that.
the 55,000, that was for the photographic, and ONG is doing it free of charge. Remember?
Yep.
And there is the science tables.
Actually, different science tables. Those are science tables that were never assigned to general trades. They're part of our lab casework contract. But he carried the cost and we asked him to give it back.
The next one is added temporary toilets. That's coming out of our budget because we didn't have a contract with the trades yet. Spucci had to supply those, correct? Correct. Next one is what Dan was talking about, fencing, another credit for our budget of 46,000. Next one is a CM allowance. That's ONG's allowance.
Right, this was an attempt, we're closing out the phase one contract with Fuji. And so in their contract, they still had $1,300. There's some site lighting. I carried in a $6,000 allowance with them. We utilized a portion and they gave the rest back.
And that was portion is the next one for
I got them backwards. So
Yeah.
one closed out the GMP allowance and the other closed out the trade contract. I was right on the site lighting one. The second one is in the phase one scope of work. We just set aside some dollars for what we weren't sure we might need. We ended up spending some of those dollars on clearing out the entrance. You know, there was a large dirt berm where we currently send most of the kids into the school where the bus drop off is. We pulled that out with a part of that allowance. We put in some new sidewalk with part of that allowance. The remaining portion of the allowance we took back.
the last one is a VE credit, which we've already
Part of
established.
the VE log is for insulation, type of insulation. We're putting fiberglass in the on the
As you can see, there's a couple of VEs that aren't in order because we haven't finished those. So is it possible to get a motion to approve all the PCOs as one item? Ayman. Have a second, Pat. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay. The next item is just for your information. I give it out. It's the analysis of payments. Before tonight's, we have paid out $16,701,000. Just for your notice. Yes.
The alternate, do we have we get an idea of what alternate is coming up in the next couple of months?
Yeah.
Nothing to decision on it.
Yeah.
Yes, there's, at our next meeting, I will ask that we make decision on the additional security glazing. As you recall, we have security glazing in a good portion. Well, we have it on all exterior glass at grade, but there's only locally on the first floor. So there's an add alternate out there to incorporate that safety glazing on all glazing on the first floor. That's the last alternate that expires, so to speak, until we get to the site work package, which in their package, as my memory serves me, it's about July. What we own by contract is 9 months from the time of the bid. And so I believe it's the beginning of July that we'll have to make some decisions on those.
The next is payment of invoices. The first one is for innovative engineering for $2,280. Have a motion to approve that.
So,
On second,
Robert,
Robin. Remember, this is our commissioning agent. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Next one is Slam, $45,347.50. Have a motion to approve that. Tomlin, second. John? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
The next one is tri-state material testing. So I saw the owner the other day, and I said to him, no, you haven't sent us any bills. And he's out there every day, right there. It's unbelievable. So
He himself is.
no, he isn't self, he was there one day and I said, hey, you know, we owe you money, you haven't sent any bills to us. So naturally, well, we should pay him, you know, for December and January. So all of the total of all of his bills adds up to $20,170.38. So can I have a motion to approve tri-state materials? Donna, second, Kathy. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay. The last one is BL, as you can see, his bill. You know, he's been there a couple of days, as you can see. We're only paying for his 8 hours and so forth. So can I have a motion to pay BL companies $1,848?
So moved.
So who's that? Fiona? Second? Kathy? Discussion? Discussion, all in favor? Opposed? Okay. Comments for the good of the order?
I got a couple things.
Yeah, Carrie first, nothing.
no, thank you.
No,
Thank you. Pass.
Donna. Anything? Go back this. Kemp, anything? Dave?
Not a thing. Thanks.
Okay. Mario?
Okay. These testing lab things are come fast and furious. Who checks all those?
Every report.
Yeah, I mean, do you check every
Yeah,
report?
we share that load within our personally for our OG side. I take concrete. Brian takes concrete, so we're both checking to make sure that nothing. We know what happens on the site, so they have an inspector that comes to the job site every day. And he's inspecting either the compactive effort that's in the soil that we're bringing up, or he's inspecting rebar, or he's inspecting the actual placement of the concrete. Checking to make sure mix designs are right, the water quantity within the concrete mix is correct, and just that the placement is done properly. Lifts aren't too high, concrete gets consolidated. So if there's any issues, we know about them ahead of time. Brian's role is more to confirm that none of the reports that are written have any negative, which to date they haven't.
Right.
I take the burden of confirming the breaks themselves. So every day we pour anything you pour over 50 yards, sorry, less than that. They make cylinders and then they wait 7 days and they break one. And it's got to be at 60% of the total design strength. And then at 28 days, they break another one. And then at 56 days, they break 2 more. And so all those reports come through. And that's what I keep an eye on, because overall, you just can't control that in the field too well. I need to know if any of the concrete is not coming up the strength. Then we have the soil and compactive efforts. Those are Zach Mardenti's side. He's checking those. Again, he's watching the work in place as it's happening, but he's monitoring the reports to make sure that, you know, all the reports reflect the same thing that we saw happen.
Yeah, we get the reports.
So-
I have a pile of them.
Oh, got it.
I read them. No,
Do you print those?
Yes, because I read them, and I leave them in the file of mention, because God forbid somebody.
There's a gazillion of them.
I know, but I read them, there was a couple of breaks that didn't
Yeah.
happen.
Those are the breaks.
Those are, yeah, I know.
So these guys are checking out this backfill. Well, when they're there, of course.
No, they're there. We can't back over that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have to do lifts no greater than a foot that get
Uh-huh.
checked before we can move on to the next level.
okay.
So we'll place up to 18 inches of material, squish it with heavy rollers, and then they have what's known as a nuclear density device. It's got within its brain, it knows the density particle distribution that has to be. It's going to send a signal into the ground, and it's going to bounce back out of the earth, and that signal tells them what compaction level is in that soil. So we know when they're out there, like the spot check different spots in different areas, making sure they've reached 95% in all those areas.
What became of that conversation about the metal stud manufacturers?
Well, I'm of the opinion that we should buy metal studs from a local vendor. There's a list of approved manufacturers for what are your metal studs, both exterior and interior. That list of vendors, there's 5 vendors there. The drywall contractor that's been awarded the project has a relationship with a larger larger manufacturer that has opened up a manufacturing facility in Windsor, Connecticut. They weren't on the list. They're fully certified, and they've gone through the process of providing the documentation to support that they're certified and that their manufacturing process meets the same criteria, quality assurance criteria, as the big 3, as we call them. We have received that. SLAM has reviewed that. SLAM has accepted that. However, can't go outside the box of people who are listed manufacturers without approval. So SLAM brought it to the attention of our team and wanted to get input from that. There's some concern. We don't want to open the door to substitutions. However, in my humble opinion here, it's nice to have a local vendor. It's nice to be buying product that has a relationship with the contractor, even though he could buy Clark Dietrich and get it out of Jersey. We can buy the same product here. So what the last directive we gave them is they have to provide an additional letter of response to the owner to identify their reasons and some of the supply limitations of the other 2 manufacturers that are listed that they don't choose to buy.
Other than yourself and SLAM, is there going to be any independent testing on these?
On the studs?
Yeah, on the
we
stud.
wouldn't need it. They-
On the exterior, on the heavy gauge stuff?
There's no manufactured product inspection that you could do. You have to test that product in lab. And so everything that they produce has been certified in the processes.
All right, so I'm skeptical. Number one, for the reasons you just said, I don't like them substituting.
Right.
But I feel part of the reason they're substituting is because it's probably a cost savings. I don't think it's just a supply thing. I think it's a cost thing too. And if it is, those savings should be passed on us.
I wholeheartedly agree on the savings. I don't know that there is or isn't. It's a very competitive market as far as you can basically buy the same product at pennies difference potentially between different.
Well, there's a lot of lineal footage, stud and track here.
There's a lot of linear
Couple
footage.
pennies are gonna add up to a lot of money.
The one positive thing is they came to the table with an additional DE that we didn't even ask for. $75,000.
Starting to feel a little better.
Which means they're not, the heart's not in their pocket as much.
If there is,
Everybody knows, everybody's heart's in their pocket.
well, there's a lot of
To
things
some
to
degree.
consider. They're a startup. Number one, this is gonna be a marquee job for them, right? Number two, number three, there's gonna be some trucking costs that aren't gonna be realized coming from Jersey or even further. So I just wanna make sure that somebody's not making a substitution and making money at the same time. Well, obviously not making money. They need to make money, but if there's a savings, we should get it.
Agreed. I will continue to pursue that avenue.
Okay, and the last thing, my favorite topic is water and where it goes after people flush the toilet. and how much of it. So Amy, keeping in mind. the form,
Yes.
what's going on? I don't understand the calculations.
I agree with your latest email in that there's not a doubling of the population on site from what there is today. We're only adding 2 grades and about 100 teachers and staff from central office in comparison to the 4 grades and well over 100 teachers at the
So
high school
even-
that's
even if-
existing.
Even if there was a doubling, our usage last year was 670. That's
Correct.
1.3
Mhm.
and not 3.2. We're talking million gallons. In the millions. So the fee that's being requested of us is for 3.2 million gallons, but we only use 670,000 gallons.
617.
617,000 gallons last year. So even if we're doubling the population and we're not, that's only 1.2 million.
Correct.
And the cost theoretically should go to 1.3 million instead of 617. No, that's the gallons, right?
We figured out it was 31,000.
31,000, right? So,
Right. And remember
something-
that the new fixtures are going to be low flow and more efficient.
Okay, so I'm sure unintentionally, there's some miscalculations going on. So you'll follow up.
Correct.
Okay.
Could it also be the difference?
5.
We're at 307 and we're 85 now, so we're trending in the right direction.
We had, the first thing was 307,000. We figured that's completely wrong. We told him 31,000. He's come back now for 87,000.
Yeah, I think there's a mix up on the calculations. It's
Could
just,
this be the difference between Torrington Water Company and Aquarium though?
no.
No,
this is-
This
This-
is not supply. This is the sewage.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So is that city?
Yeah.
So when you're saying heat, so would
City.
it cost?
City.
Yes. The Department of Public Works charges everybody to dump their into the system, and
Mhm.
what's in dispute is how much.
So
We've
We have
asked
a
to see his
estimate on how much to do.
calculations and we have not yet seen
They
his
don't
calculations. He
go by
just
that.
keeps giving us oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Well, I was saying, we've asked to see Ray's calculations and he hasn't yet provided those. He just keeps providing us with a different value.
So
So-
Casey, to answer your question, 617,000 gallons were used last year at the high school.
we know that how,
They give us a bill.
The
so
bill,
it's metered.
And it's on the
Alright,
bill.
So, but
617.
now they're asking for a flat rate or something? or-
no, now they're trying to factor in how much the additional students and staff and Midget Avenue staff is gonna add to it. So,
Projecting future flow.
right, so they're trying to put a number on the additional people and how many gallons that means per year.
But we'll know the actual number because.
But it's a connection to 2.5 years, not the right number.
But aren't, but they're
Yes.
billing us by what we actually use.
Yes, but this is.
Correct. This is just for the application.
This is like your connection fee.
Oh, connection fee, okay,
Mhm.
right.
But
The connections fee is based on.
the connection fee is based on usage.
Right.
Right, and you can't double the students and the staff and not double the gallons. Right, so when we doubled the students, let's call it doubled, it's not even double.
But we haven't, right?
We went up 4.5 times on the gallons, right? Something like that. So something's messed up, something's
Right.
wrong. So, but, Amy.
We're getting closer, as you mentioned. Today's number was a little better than the last one, but we still have yet to see what he's basing the number on. And so I'll continue to press for that so that we're not mischarged.
Yeah, and listen, Ray's a good guy. I think we're just looking at two different things. I'm not sure what's going on. And God knows, I don't know a whole lot about it, other than if it smells wrong, it's probably wrong. So to speak, I don't mean to use that. Fun, no pun intended.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, also, Amy, last thing. So next month you said for security glazing,
Yes,
you'll have something so we could actually. Well, yeah, I know we're not
See the
supposed to
extent.
discuss, yeah, see the extent of the ad.
Sure, we can go into executive session and we
Yes.
can show it. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yes,
good
correct.
idea.
That's it.
That's it.
That's enough.
Last week I met with, we remember the apprenticeship program, they came out to the union and, we met with 10 students. 6 were seniors, 4 were juniors. Out of the 6, 2 were 18 years of age and they already have their electrical permits. So I said, as soon as school is out, we'll get you on Dinko's payroll and go ahead. So 6 seniors, 4 juniors, we're processing them. We're gonna have another one probably in March, and then in May, we're gonna have the big show like we always do. Out of the 10 that graduated, remember last year we had 10, 7 already working, making money. 3 are still getting, one doesn't have his license, they're gonna pay for his driver's license and so forth. So 7 are working, making money. When I get the payrolls, holy mackerel, they're getting good pay, some of these guys, you know, right? So that's all working out well again. For 10 years, if we get, 10 kids a year, 100 kids making good bucks, it's a feather in everybody's cap. The next one is we did get the building permit, so we're all legal. Okay. So that's good.
That's good.
We appreciate everybody working on the building. Also, remember, we had to get a permit for an A1 survey, remember, the
Yes, foundation,
right. When you pull your building permit, you get a foundation only permit, and then you have to verify the location of the foundation, submit that to planning and zoning, and then they release the whole building.
so the first thing we thought it was gonna be $8,800. It's now we're getting a credit.
We're getting a credit. Yeah, we were able to combine the work into a single trip so that the actual cost is what we're. So the next PCO you'll see.
See,
is
is
for,
one- you'll see an $88,000 and then a reduction.
Right.
So it's-
Great
Comments?
meeting, great meeting. Thank you, job fair. I love that. And the kids are already working.
I know, it's unbelievable.
That's what
It's-
you promised, right?
7 out of the 10 are getting paid, which is unbelievable.
Good to hear.
And great presentation at the beginning, pictures and explanations.
Thank you.
I was gonna say the same thing,
Yeah.
so thank you.
I was gonna say the same thing. More
Don't,
reading,
oh, yeah, his head is gonna swell.
gotta order a new hard hat.
Yeah.
I realized I was walking down and it wasn't until I picked up my head that I looked around the room. I said, "Wait a minute, I better look and address everybody in the room." I get mired in my work. So thank you.
It's a great presentation, and the only other thing, there seems to be a lot of community chatter that the building committee has decided that 7th grade is not
I heard it
moving to
say-
the building, and
I
I
heard
have
it
no idea where that came from.
Yeah.
Building committee's never discussed that.
I tell you where I think it came from. People are hearing that the high school's going in. Right, in what, February, January?
February.
And middle school's not going into September. I think somehow they're taking that as the high school and the 8th graders are going in. And then the 7th graders aren't. I don't know where it comes from.
Yeah,
The
I
same
think-
place everything comes from.
But I think it would be a change to the scope of project. I
Right,
don't
yeah,
think it
No.
could be done, so I
That's not happening.
just want to put on the record that no one has discussed that
Nope.
officially. So,
It's not gonna happen.
stop calling.
Brian, Robin,
Also, thank you.
okay,
Hold the phone.
yes,
If I can remember what the hell it was. We're working on that water coming off the bank.
yes,
In the school, we were made aware that we have a pretty good flow. Not like we didn't know it. When we had the heavy rain, it was really a lot. And there was a lot of ice that came back in. Or that overflowed the curb and created an ice hazard.
there were 2 areas, one where the Sugar Shack is right there coming down, and then one where the gate is on Delhi Drive coming down. So we did
Oh,
have
over
them
there too.
Yeah, right.
And we made Slam aware, and again, within days, they had the civil engineer as well as the landscape architect come out to the property. They've investigated it and they're gonna come back with a remediation plan.
Right now,
One
John,
location is permanent because it's a daily drive cul-de-sac. The other location is temporary. Just has to be done for a couple of years until we put in permanent drainage in that area.
and we had John Jenny at the meeting, so he is aware of it and will give us his idea.
Last thing,
Yes.
is it normal? Or, I mean, is it normal to allow the building committee to tour the site on a Saturday? For those who want to? Or is that like a no-no insurance wise?
Dave,
I'll let Dave jump in. Yeah, we do it.
That's fine. I mean, again, people shut down the property. That's right.
Yes.
Right, you mean,
Hard
when we
hat.
invite people and they show up in open-toed shoes,
yeah,
we
Yeah.
kind of say, geez, you know.
Maybe
didn't get
we-
the memo? We said, no.
Maybe we do it on a day that you're not working. That's probably better,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely better.
Yeah.
Whether you want to see something a little bit more than what you have now, you know, concrete's nice.
No,
It's just
it's nice.
concrete and dirt.
I just, Mike-
Looking ahead, we have,
you can't appreciate
without the walk.
the size of this
Yeah.
without looking at it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of like looking at the Titanic on the ocean floor. It's very much bigger when you're there. It's unbelievable. And we could wait, certainly we could wait, or we could do it once every, you know,
Sometimes what a committee would do too, especially if the meetings are in the evening, we could convene at the site for a walk before the meeting and then come up here and conduct the meeting.
Yeah.
Especially when it gets to the summertime, we have light.
Yeah.
In our favor.
Yeah.
Maybe the building committee meeting at 5:30 or something, but if we did we meet at the site at 4 or something and tour and then come up here for the meeting and do that.
yeah, I imagine you guys would be interested in doing that, right?
Once in a crane.
Also, just let you know, we're gonna have a
Hard hat.
topping
Topping
off in May. So the kids will be, the Board of Ed, or Building Committee will be there to sign their names on the steel. Which beam are we gonna think we're gonna
so
use?
rather than push it into the month of June when your auditorium erects, we thought it would be safer to schedule in May. So it'll be one of the beams in the middle school wing.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll have that. The kids will come out, sign their names, and then we'll invite you.
Yeah, what we've done in the past, just for your benefit, Brian, is that we deliver the piece of steel early, we place it up by the school so that students can be coordinated to go outside and put their names on it. And then on the day of the event, we'll have moved the beam from the school down to the project site. We'll shut down, bring out whomever
Yeah.
dignitaries that want to sign off. They put their signature on the beam and then it gets installed.
That's what we're looking at in May.
Yeah, so
There's not any clay on the site, is there?
there's what?
I didn't come upon any clay on the site.
No,
Soccer field.
You need some, I heard, right?
We need a lot,
You need a lot.
because of the temporary parking.
Clay. Clay is really one of the types of soil that we try to avoid. It's unstable, expensive. and wet.
It's good for infield.
Yeah, but it's nice for an inch, yeah.
All right, everybody, thank you.
6:21, have a motion to adjourn. Future meeting, you got the list. It's the next meeting is March 16th. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Thanks a lot, everybody.
March 16th.
At 8 a.m.
Yeah, building.